Everybody, welcome to the Garden Potty. Garden Potty. I'm gonna leave that in. I'm gonna leave it in.
You should.
Everybody, welcome to the Garden Party
Organic.
podcast. Yeah, it is organic. This is a weekly podcast where we get gardening content creators on and we talk about what we've got growing on. Oh my God, Phil!
Hold on.
I'm
Official-
leaving that in, Phil. I'm leaving that in. That's it. Hey, ABC, always be content, baby. Always be content. Oh my goodness. Well, speak of the devil, we'll start with Phil. Go ahead and introduce yourself, dude.
Hey everyone, it's Phil from Phil's Figs. On time today, and you guys can find me at Phil's Figs on Instagram, YouTube, philsfigs.com, and Facebook.
We got you flustered like within the first minute and 15 seconds. We got you like, ah.
It's the way to do it.
All right, we got to the right.
Authenticity.
Yeah, right. To the right, we got Keegan. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Keegan.
Hey everybody, I'm Keegan from Keegan's_garden. I'm located in Maryland, so I think that's one of the zone sevens I can remember right now. Should have practiced this before, but I like to grow crops year round. I like to focus on vegetables, especially cold hardy crops. So this time of year, I love growing food. That's when my garden's thriving the most.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing your cabbages and your kales, all about the brassicas right now.
Yes, brassica season.
Absolutely, man. Well, appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, anytime, dude. Vikram, Mr. Plant Prof. Go ahead and introduce yourself, dude.
Yeah, I'm Vikram. I'm the plant prof. I am a horticulture professor in Lubbock, Texas. And I mostly yell about bananas on the internet. That's my job. My very professional. You know, it's funny. One time I made a video and posted it on Facebook. I never do that. And I made sort of a offhand reference that a particular raccoon might be a mass murderer. And our brand new dean of our college reacted to it. And I was like, oh, I have got to be more careful. So I yell about bananas and get myself in trouble. That's my job.
There you go, dude. Hey, you gotta watch yourself on the college campuses, man. You gotta be careful.
You don't want to slip.
Well, we got a Red Raider on, and then we got an Aggie as well. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Chaz.
Hey guys, my name is Chaz. I'm Chaz Daughtry of Sweetwater Farms HTX. We're an urban farm in Houston, Texas. We grow seasonal vegetables, and we sell at local restaurants. We also sell at farmers markets, but we also teach kids about agriculture. So that's a part of our farm as well too. So just like to grow things, plant things, and have fun as well.
I think Vikram was so upset that we let an Aggie on that he dropped out for a second.
I don't know what happened. My internet's been doing weird things. I'm actually class of 09.
Okay, cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
2012.
Oh, you're an Aggie. You're not a Red Raider.
I did my undergrad is from A&M. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought it was like wherever you went to college, you had to teach there for some reason. I didn't think you could like be from.
Not with the jobs there, man. It doesn't always work like that.
I didn't. I just assumed that since you're a professor at Texas Tech, that you must have gone to Texas Tech. So
I did a couple of times, but my first one was from A&M. So yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations. Hey, that gold ring will open a lot of doors. I've thought about buying one on eBay. Just to show up to some of these parties and like I just need a gold-ish ring to kind of look a little bit gig'em, you know. I've got an event next week. It's like the Oba Yule Ball, and I was like, the place is gonna be glistening with all the freaking A&M rings. It's gonna be crazy. So I definitely need to get one. So well, happy to have you on, Chaz. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's good to have. I really wanted to get some like farm gardeners, like because y'all are market gardeners. Y'all sell at markets, right? Y'all don't do like big distribution or anything like that. Keegan, I know Chaz at the time y'all were doing like farmers markets, and y'all even did some like drive-through pickup stuff as well, right?
Yeah, so we do. Right now we do 3 farmers markets. We do one in the Heights area. That's what's in Houston, like kind of like a central place. We do that twice a month. We do a farm stand on our property 2 times a month, and then we also do the University of Houston farmers market once a month as well too. So 3 markets, and then after that is wholesaling, and then around that is also like teaching kids as well too.
Okay, Keegan, what is your setup like? Like, how does yours work?
I I'm too lazy for all of that. So where I work, people kind of come to me and say like, "Hey, can I buy your vegetables?"
Oh,
So I
dude.
have a group of people at work that they'll pay me like a fixed amount. So weekly, I'll take them like a bag of vegetables and just do it that way.
Man,
I'd
cool.
like to do a farmer's market one day, but right now it's just easy. Just I'm going to work, so I'm going to take some food with me.
Well, dude,
So
it's like a little mini CSA box, and
Yeah.
yeah,
you
yeah.
don't even have to put the like. Hey, that's even.
Yeah.
I bet if Chaz could just get them to show up at the farm and buy it, he would more than happily rather do that. I'm sure.
Hey, some days, you never know what you're going to sell at the farmer's market. At least if it's like a mini CSA, you kind of have guaranteed, or at least
Yeah,
you know what you're picking or
Yeah,
bringing is going to be like sold.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it can
yeah.
work both ways and benefit.
I think it's a misconception sometimes that people think like CSAs can be expensive sometimes, and it's very seasonal on like what you're gonna get. But like
Mhm.
I've got a friend and her sister split a CSA, and so they get it like bi-weekly, and so they just split the CSA between it, and it's a really good option to get like some locally grown like hand or usually organic grown products, and it's a really good option I think. And I really like you can just subscribe like it's on iTunes, and it just usually it'll just show up at your house. That's a really good. But the farmers markets are like an experience. Like I haven't been to a Houston farmers market, but they usually have all kinds of crazy stuff like going on, like especially this time of year with all the holiday stuff going on.
Yeah, definitely. So you should come out to the one we do. It's the next one's gonna be December 10th. I mean, it's kind of like a kind of party. They have a live band, music, just everything you can think of from veggies to fish to meat, their bread. People walk with flowers. It's kind of like giving you that old time feel. You see the ladies with a loaf of bread that's bigger than their body walking, or you see them carrying flowers. So it's like a whole like vibe. It's like for that day, like I turned into this farmer. Like I am a farmer, but at the same time, like I'm like not my normal Chaz. Like I'm having my farmer Chaz shirt on. So creating this cool vibe that like it lets me get away because I don't farm full time. And so it's like kind of like a hobby / part time thing for me. And so that day I get to be like just a real farmer, and then like I go back to my regular self after,
Ah, dude,
I
after the
love
market.
that.
I'm the exact same way because I work 410, so I work Monday through Thursday, and I have 3 day weekends. So Thursday at 6 p.m. right now through Monday at 6 a.m. I am the Texas Garden guy, and that is all. I don't
Yeah.
answer. I don't get calls from work anymore. I don't get any of that. I can just be the Texas Garden guy for like 72 hours, and it's so nice. And you're right. Like when you get into like that different mode, like the content creation, the gardening, it's so much more zen, and it really is like you're switching modes. It
Yeah.
really is. Because I'm not that nice in person. Like sometimes
I don't believe that.
oh no, not at work. I'm a jerk at work sometimes. Um, well, Phil, I know I've been propagating fig trees like crazy. So you've been propagating this week, or what you been up
I
to?
got a few. I'm more trying to dodge the freezes and frost because I inherited this giant plumeria. But I have some new cuttings. All the cuttings are starting to go on sale for figs, and I'm sneaking in with the other fig growers and finding out the ones that I've had on my wish list for a while.
So you've been more buying than selling.
Yeah, and my fig cutting selling is going to happen this weekend, and I did all my numbers. It's all loaded in my sheets, and it's on the website. So I just hit go, and it's going to pop in and
And
compile.
what is your website where everybody can find you? This goes live what time? What day?
philsfigs.com, and the
With a
cuttings will go
PH.
live. What's that?
With a PH.
With a PH. No, philsfigs.com.
Wait, which one?
It'll go live. Like I think. Oh,
Dude, we had when I first met Phil, I asked him, "Did you think about making it PH Phil's PH Figs?"
I used to be,
And
and then I was like, you know what? Just for heaven's sake, like let's just keep the F in there.
yeah,
Because I'm already doing too many dad jokes, so I'm like, let's not keep the rabbit hole too deep. But I went with the normal figs, and if I get popular enough, maybe we'll switch it to PH.
or Big Daddy Phil, or Big Daddy, or what is it? Or Fig Daddy Phil. I like Fig
I
Daddy.
might be
Coke
sending the
so
wrong
much.
messages if I keep going Fig Daddy route.
Hey, you think about it, a fig is a very sexual fruit. It is a very sensual fruit. The way you eat it, it's
It
very
has
intense.
an osteal. It's um I mean, it's not a fancy term. I was just trying to think of something funny, but
Uh,
yeah, the cuttings are gonna go live on Sunday morning. So that's what I'm gonna
okay,
let.
cool. Everybody know. Cool. Well, Vikram, what you got going on, dude? Vikram texted me and he was like, dude, I don't even know why they don't just end the semester at Thanksgiving because the kids are worthless for like 2 weeks after this. He goes, there's no point. So I know you're
Yeah.
feeling it right now.
Oh, we are so hard on the struggle bus. It's more like the hardship Hindenburg. About to crash into a tower somewhere. Nah, so we're trying to wrap up the semester. I've actually had part of my job is I run a horticulture garden on campus. And so end of season, which is conveniently between exam 3 and finals, we do extra credit garden cleanups. So students from our classes can come like help us clean up the garden and like pull out mushy potato vine and stuff like that. And so that's what we've been doing this week. We've had probably about 40 students volunteering, and I tell you what, they've gotten a heck of a lot of work done. We've already
That's
filled up
awesome.
like our dumpster 3 or 4 times and a 20-yard roll off with like trash and all kinds of stuff. And so like we have been working hard out there.
That's my buddy Brandon. He went to an HBCU in Dallas, and he said that the college football team went bankrupt or whatever. They got canceled, and he said they turned the football field into a giant garden, and that students could pay their tuition by working in the garden. And apparently
That's
it's a
dope.
food desert. It's a food desert. And so they supply a lot of foods like local markets and stuff. And so the kids are working off their tuition by working in the garden. And I was like, man, that would be such a cool idea for like all universities to like get involved
Yeah.
with.
Mhm.
Like you could,
That's super cool.
which one is it?
Paul Quinn College.
That one.
Yeah. It's they really took off maybe like the last 5 years. But I wish they had that when I was in college. Now farming, gardening, and urban gardening was like it's really cool now. But back in college, you just had like agriculture and ag economics, ag business, and you had horticulture, but it wasn't like defined like to the way I think it would be like cool and trendy. But yeah, now they're getting all the cool stuff. I had to YouTube a lot of my stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Man. Well,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and that's how I was in high school and when I went to college. They don't have they have ag, which is like
Yeah.
big ag. They don't teach small scale. They teach big scale. They should be teaching more like backyard growing, self-sufficiency, stuff like that, rather than teaching them how to do these giant acres of fields, kind of going way more small scale. I would think would be more attractive to kids.
We had Ohio State agriculture program come out to our farm actually like last year. It was like last January. Well, this year, January, like right after the holidays.
Right after I was there.
Yeah, and so they came out and they was really impressed, like just because they're so used to like big corn and big things, and so to see how we operate on a small scale and also using machines that they don't use, they just kind of like only see it one way, which is like huge, but and showing them the small scale, like we have a tractor, but it is a compact tractor, or we have a seeder, but it is a Jane seeder. We can push it and it can do what we need to do instead of having to use. We don't have 100 acres, but we have 6 acres, but we only farm 1.5 acres. So the cool thing you've been able to see like the different scales of farming and small scale as well too. So hopefully colleges are teaching that now too. But they were just like really like shocked, like this guy. They was like, "Is it making any money?" And I was like, "It definitely makes money. I mean, I'm not getting rich off of it, but it definitely makes money." It's like, and also where we're farming at is in the middle of the city, so it's valuable. So
right.
That's cool.
Well, and there's definitely more to it than the money. A lot of like government funding goes to a bunch of different programs, and a lot of stuff like what you're doing could be, a Houston like funded like public garden, something like there's a farm over there in South Houston called Hope Farms, and they actually have some raised beds that people can like adopt. and they can actually come and like grow in their beds and like maintain them and stuff. And it seems like kind of a cool option for people who don't have like backyards and stuff like that, you know? So
Yeah, the company I work for, we have a community garden program, and we have about 9 gardens across Montgomery County.
Wow.
And people every year they sign up. We have a wait list of over
Wow.
100 plus. But
Wow.
I think it's the biggest garden is 96 beds.
Wow.
But it's I mean it's a big
Wow.
program and people are really invested in it. But it's something people rent and they have like they could grow anything they want. They just got to keep their garden clean, and that's a bigger issue when people don't really know how to, let's say, garden is a lot of newbies. But it's a cool program, so we've been working on getting them like up to speed with like technology and using garden, like not to get into the weeds too much because I like kind of do more technology at work.
this
But
is the podcast to get into the weeds. We love the weeds.
Yes.
We love the
but
weeds.
they have something called like a community garden inspection. So we've actually mapped out each garden plot, and then they ask an array of questions, and they could just use their phone to do that. And then I guess there's a big conference where all these tech people go, and they're gonna present earlier next year on that. But the idea is that we make this program available to the public so people could garden where there's no like access to fresh produce and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool, and I think that's kind of how you introduce people to gardening. You just start
Absolutely.
small and then you kind of expand.
Yeah.
You know, I love hearing this stuff. I'm actually teaching or revamping and teaching a sustainable vegetable production class next fall that I've got to spend the spring completely rewriting, which will be fun. But like hearing y'all's stories is really cool because these are like things to work into that, because you know we're kind of focusing on the small to medium operation when we talk about procedures and things like that. And so no, that's cool that I'm trying to figure out how to say it. Like it's validating that y'all are saying that these are some of the concerns that like from the industry side too. Like we wish students were learning this. Like it's good that students are learning this, because then you know as we go forward with this class, like that's really useful information for me to build this out for my students.
You know, I think it's really nice in the college, but I think it's got to start younger. I think it's got to start like like I'm actually going to be doing an elementary school garden this next month.
Cool.
My wife's a school teacher, and she actually got one of her friends actually got a grant from the state of Texas to do a garden. It's on the second floor balcony at this school. So I'm doing all rolling Vigo bed, raised beds up there. So they'll be able to roll them inside if they want to. And there's no water hose or any kind of like way to water the garden. So the teacher's going to like, add that like into like her mathematics. They're going to get different size like watering cans and like, you know, like pint, quart, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be cool. And then I'll get to go up there and check on it periodically. And apparently it's a rolling grant. So every year she can spend that same amount of money on getting some more beds.
Oh, that's great.
And so it'll be a cool, it'd be cool. And Vigo's donating the beds. So the money really just goes to the soil. So shout out to Vigo. But it's going to be really awesome.
Yeah, I like Vigo's beds. Can't afford them, but they're pretty nice.
Oh, dude,
There's some nice beds.
hey, we'll talk after, Keegan. Yeah. Hey, guess what? I can't afford them all either.
Hey, they do look cool.
People always comment like, "Man, how do you afford those Vigo beds?" And like, I didn't pay for them. You know, it's like, you know, so yeah. But
Hey, brand ambassador. Cool.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm a next level. I'm a pro gardener. I'm a pro gardener, baby. I'm a Vigo pro gardener.
That brings me into like I have feelings about like starting a small gardening business and how like the ins and outs. So like every time I get X amount of funds, I'm like, how am I going to use this little bit? How much do I need to save towards gardening supplies? Or like, am I going to delve into more investment of gardening and finding that threshold, that profitability margin of when it starts benefiting me?
And in an ideal situation, everybody would just, so like I live in a subdivision. On my street, there's like 10 houses in one strip. if everybody grew something different in their backyard and we just traded, someone grows eggs, someone's got pumpkins, someone's got carrots, and then we just rotated the crops every like harvest, like ideally that would be like a cool situation.
Absolutely.
And that's something maybe they could do like in the community gardens, because I'm assuming if y'all are like renting those garden plots out, you're probably doing some kind of education as well with it, some kind of
Yeah. They wanted me to talk, and I just kind of forgot about it. So I didn't. It's something that I was like, oh man, I would have done, but I definitely forgot about it. But yeah, they need like help because some of these beds aren't big. So it's really maximizing your space. So if you're starting in the spring, maybe start with a couple lettuce, then transition to like tomatoes, peppers in the summer, and then fall kind of go back to your brassicas type of thing. But just maximizing your space. Like I visited a couple earlier this spring, and like people just planted like squashes on top of each other, and it's like it just didn't. You could tell they were noobs, and it's okay because you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
But like just getting that education like early on will kind of help you move forward. So next year, I'm definitely committed to helping out more.
No, I know what you mean. Like
Depending,
Gosh,
it's relative.
Yeah, it depends so much on like what you're growing. A lot of our like annual crops, tomatoes, peppers, the common things that people are growing. 2-3 years, you'll start losing viability. Some of them will go a little bit longer. If you store them cold and dry, they last a lot longer. So that's why they put them in paper packets, so that wax coated paper packets a lot of times, so they don't trap humidity. They can breathe a little bit. But we've had I pulled some tomato seeds out for an experiment that were maybe 8 years old. We found them in a freezer actually, and we're like, let's see what they do. And the packet, I think, had listed about a 93% germ rate on it. And at 8 years in a freezer, in the back of the freezer that no one had looked at, we got about 65-70%. So it was still
that's not bad.
Decent, but
for 8
not
years. Yeah.
like, you're going to start losing it pretty quick. So like at some of the big seed banks and seed storage vaults and stuff, they'll, depending on the type of seed, pull a sample, grow them out, recollect and refresh seed stock in like in Svalbard and some different places. They have these big seed banks.
I was gonna say, doesn't Svalbard have a big repository?
It's like if you look up pictures of it, it looks like this sci-fi, like looks like an alien ship crashed in the snow.
Level on Halo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It looks like you're gonna have to go fight the flood and some weird dude with a sword.
Zombie apocalypse, right?
It's an underground bunker, right? It's an underground bunker.
Yeah, and it's like in the coldest place on the planet, and there's like a military presence. Like it's a big deal. But they'll refresh their stock depending on like what it is that they're looking at. So that like some seeds, they'll pull a sample every 5 years and grow out a new stock and things like that, and refresh it so that all this like germplasm stays fresh. If the aliens attack or whatever.
Did you just say germplasm? That is a new germplasm.
Oh, sorry.
No, I want you to explain that word because I've never heard that in my life.
So germplasm is like a specific genetic line of a particular plant. So like if you have a specific variety or a specific land race or something of a plant, that like genetic code, sequence genetic code is referred to as the germplasm. So when we talk about that, we talk about our seed stock of whatever specific genetics is our germplasm.
I will be using that word in a video very soon.
It's a pretty good word, right?
Tomorrow on Instagram, germplasm.
Germplasm.
As the plant professor, you should do like a nerd plant word of like the day. Like just do like
that's a good idea. That'd be kind of fun, actually.
Dude,
like your
great.
nerdy term of the day or something.
Yeah.
I come up with better ideas for other people than I do for myself when it comes to videos. Dude, it's insane, man. I need more. I need more free time, dude. I've been wanting to write a Christmas song
I'm
because
gonna start doing that. That is such a good idea.
this is way off topic, but I get like in these little holes sometimes, and I did a meme today where because the reason I thought of this is I heard someone else singing "All I Want for Christmas Is You," and it wasn't Mariah Carey, and I was like, nobody should be singing this song besides Mariah Carey, and but I had to do the research. And do you know that Mariah Carey actually co-wrote the song and they wrote it in 15 minutes?
No, I did not know
Kind of
that.
shows.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Shows.
Her and a guy wrote it in 15 minutes, and they wrote it in 1993 or 94, and it was like I didn't realize that song was that old. But I was like, man, no one else besides her should be, especially if she wrote it. No one else should be writing that song. But yeah, I really enjoy that. So that's my favorite Christmas song. I'm very squirrel, dude. I'm very like squirrel. I can't do this.
Listen,
man.
we can end the episode with that song, and we'll just play it as we're going.
No, we can't. We'll get demonetized. Come on, Phil.
No, that's right.
I've got to bleep out your cuss words. My wife is watching TV in the bedroom where I can't even hear the TV in the background. All that good stuff.
Mariah Carey's gonna come after you.
Dude, I love her, man. She's a beautiful woman with a lovely voice. I love her.
She may even garden.
She may. I don't think she gardens. I don't. She ain't getting these hands dirty, dude. I don't think she is, man. We are so off topic.
There are a lot of celebrities that do, though.
Yes.
Carrie Underwood. I saw her gardening recently.
With Eric gardening.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube. Yeah,
I think I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah,
she had a nice greenhouse too. I was like, man.
They all do, man. Well, it's funny. Like you see some of these celebrities, like these nice greenhouses and these nice gardens. They are not pulling those weeds, dude. They are not out there pulling weeds, man. There ain't no way. Maybe Jennifer Garner, because
is she a gardener?
Yeah, Jennifer Garner is one. I actually wrote to I wrote a message to somebody on Instagram. He's a celebrity and he gardens. I forget who it was. I'll think of it in a second. But like,
I was actually.
Go ahead. No.
I was impressed with. I watched the David Beckham documentary. I grew up a soccer player in football, and he had
like that
a huge apiary, and then he also now has like his own greenhouse. And he is a tinkerer, and he will get out there and like. I think all of us as gardeners can agree there is a huge tinkering aspect to gardening, where you get to watch these little seedlings every day, or anything bigger than that, and keep tinkering with them, making them happy, and figuring out what makes them happy, right? But yeah,
it was Jake Gyllenhaal.
It was Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, it was Jake Gyllenhaal. That's how I reached out to. There's no way he's writing me back. There's no way he's writing. What was I thinking, dude? I gotta stay out of the DMs when I'm DMing. Like those people don't even monitor their own like social media. There's no way. There's
Martha
no way.
Stewart is a gardener. You guys probably already knew that.
Well, yeah. I think my buddy Shiloh Farms did a video on TikTok, and he was like, "Here, like the 5 celebrities that garden." You know, it's so funny. Like sometimes videos are like clickbait videos. You know, it's like, oh, do I really? It's like if it wasn't already in front of me, would I care? You know, it's but it's interesting. You know, like if you like celebrities and stuff. We're getting off the celebrities. I was gonna roll that into Christmas, and being that you are in the coldest climate, Keegan, let's talk about what you're doing to prepare your garden for the very cold weather coming your way.
First thing I do is like seed selection. That's number one. So try to focus more on Asian greens. So I don't grow them in the spring just because their cold tolerance is a lot better than their heat tolerance.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of bok choy, tatsoi, chichimishai, Tokyo Bekina. What else? Mustards, different mustards, arugula spinach. So that's kind of what I have in the garden right now. Also have cauliflower, but they're kind of struggling. They just don't do well in this temperature. So pick the seeds first. Row covers. So I can't remember what they're measured on. I think maybe ounces. Could be wrong. but I think it's from 0.5 to 3.
Okay.
So I try to get anything above 2. So I'll use row covers and then shredded leaves. A ton. I don't mean to sprinkle in as much shredded leaves as I could. I
Deep
just laid
mulching.
on top of the beds, and in my experience, that really does a good job. Over Christmas last year, I don't know how cold it got down there where you guys are, but it was like we didn't get out of freezing for like 2 or 3 nights. So I just covered everything up. I think I pulled some tarps out of my garage. I was desperate because like I got a garden. If I don't go
I can relate.
outside,
I can relate.
like
Every
I
gardener can
get
relate.
I get down. So I'm like I had to do what I had to do to like keep
Yeah.
my garden alive. And like I did save quite a few things like my endives for some like I harvest those in March and
Oh
some of my
wow.
Brussels
Oh.
sprouts of this year. So covered everything up and they survived. So it's the same thing. So a ton of shredded leaves. I find that shredded leaves are better than the whole leaves because I don't know the science behind it. Don't quote me on this, but this is recorded, damn it. But
It's
it's like,
probably compaction. It's probably
I was
yeah,
gonna say
compaction.
it
I think
has to
the
do with
smaller pieces.
air porosity.
Okay, so I'm onto
Yeah.
something. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not just
good. Yeah.
making that
I
up.
think you're right.
So,
I think you're right.
it has to be shredded leaves, and I'll just maybe 6, 7, 8 inches depending on the plants, but I'll
Oh
just put
wow.
that on top of my bed. And sometimes I'll double up on the covers, so it's not one level, it's like 3 row covers sometimes. But that'll push me into February or March.
Oh wow. So you're not cutting and cut like you're growing all year round. You're
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And do you have a greenhouse? Do you have,
No, that's a conversation for wifey, but no, not right now.
dude?
One day.
Just buy it.
You're way further north than all of us, and I think me and Phil have a greenhouse. Well,
Oh
technically,
man.
Vikram's got a greenhouse.
I
Technically,
have one. My
Yeah,
wife doesn't
I'm
like
cheating a
it.
little, but yeah.
Chaz, your wife made you get a greenhouse. You
No,
got one?
I just bought it, but she doesn't like the way it looks. So
Oh
I
really,
just got it.
Ask her forgiveness, right?
Hey, do it. Ask later.
dude?
Because
Is
I
it?
do all my seeds and stuff at home, and although we're like the farm is at my office, but I do all the seeds and stuff at home just so like I can water and take care of things a little bit better. So
Yeah,
it's not the prettiest, but it's not the ugliest either. So yeah.
dude. My first greenhouse I bought for like $200 on Amazon, and I didn't even tell my wife. She just came home one day, and me and my buddy put up like I think it was 12 by 7. And then she was so pissed off. She was like, "Oh, why did you take? It's taking up the whole yard."
Yeah.
A week later, it froze, and I put everything in there with some heat lamps, and she was so happy that I got it, man. She was so happy. So it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission. Hey, well, whenever I make the trip up to Lubbock, I'll bring you some Texas Garden Guy stickers.
Great.
I'll make it worth the drive.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
did get
God.
sent a sprayer that was a game changer for me. One of those
The Petra.
petro sprayers or something like that. They sent one like a small version, and then I ended up buying the bigger version. I was like, man, this is really great, but I needed something bigger just because like I was like, it was a good. They sent it, and then I bought a bigger one from them because like it was like
Nice.
really needed. So. But it's a
Do you
game
know
changer
where
if
I-
you guys ever do too.
Yeah. What'd you say, Phil?
I said, you know where I get some free stuff is I'm part of some clubs and organizations here in Wilmington. And so I'm part of the Hobby Greenhouse Club.
Ooh.
And you don't have to have a greenhouse, but everyone starts somewhere. And then we kind of like, egg each other on. And it's a very well established, like I'm the youngest person there by like 20 years. And,
Wow.
but there's some deep rooted knowledge and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm like hooked now. And people start small. Some people just have like the window greenhouse or like the 3-tier 1 by 6 footer, and then all the way up to like a commercial grade, like Sheldon Herb Farms out here in Leland. She goes there too. And so but it's a nice conglomeration to find out what fits your needs best. And so I got to promote that a little more on the gram.
Well, you might be able to get someone's hand-me-down when they upgrade to a bigger one. Because
And here's where the free stuff comes in. Exactly, there's a lot of free stuff, not just knowledge. So they have a free table every time you walk in. There's plants, there's seeds. So I mean, I just picked up some kohlrabi from there, and so I'm excited to try to get that in the ground. But we'll see. I have to check the expiration date on it.
Chaz, are you growing pretty similar stuff to Keegan? Are you growing right now?
Yeah, so right now we are growing. Actually, still have sweet potatoes in the beds right now.
Ooh.
I'm just like need time to go pull them up, but and also just kind of like I've been hearing a lot of people who had sweet potatoes, they haven't been the size they wanted, and we haven't had it really just cool weather that would stop them. So sweet potatoes still in the beds. I need to just get time to do it. Also we were growing mustard greens, we were growing collards. Bok choy. This is actually my first year going bok choy. We had did a commercial that'll come out in 2024, and some of the things, just it was summertime, it wasn't growing right, so they went bought up all this bok choy that was from garden centers all over, and I was like, well, let me just plant it. I'm kind of happy they did because I'll grow it from their own, so I take it to the market and sell it as well too. What else are we growing? Dino kale is another thing that I like to grow.
Love dino kale.
We're having a big pest problem right now, which is rabbits. So wild rabbits are eating everything up.
Oh, yeah.
Small.
Do you know what else is really good? Rabbit stew.
I will tell you what I did.
Is rabbit good?
Hey, the minute I get it going right, it's always something that just comes. Like last year was these stray dogs that kept digging up all the beds. Random. I mean, people since we're on just acres of land in the middle of the city, people think, hey, we can just drop things off. And so they just dropped off these dogs that I guess they got hungry, and I don't know if they smelled the sweet potatoes or the onions, and they were just digging up the beds. I was so pissed off. And so this year, I guess the rabbits finally realized. Luckily, they let me plant some collards and stuff like that. But my second round, I was like, okay, I should plant some more. They ate them all up, and so
Really?
and they only really eat in the grow tunnels, and so which is crazy. Well, at first, but now they're actually eating outside the grow tunnel. But they don't eat mustard greens because of the spiciness, I think, inside of it. But they eat the collards, they eat the dino kale, they eat the curly kale, and I was like, those are my money makers. People only want mustard greens in Houston for holidays. They want kale and curly kale and all the other stuff all year round, which makes the money. So it's always something, man.
There's always something.
You're gonna set some live traps out there, dude, and catch them rabbits. Just throw some.
I did.
One of the stray
I
dogs.
caught a possum. I caught a possum. So I caught a possum. That's what I caught. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, that was probably a problem too.
Yeah. So it probably was, because I did put the plants inside of it, so it was part of the possum. But I've seen one time I came late at night and I had my truck lights flashing in the tunnel, and I saw a lot of rabbits, and so
Wow.
I'm like, man, I got to figure a way. And I've been YouTubing for months, how to get these rabbits away, and it was I can see a fix besides traps, So so I bought a fence. I won't say what kind of fence it is, and so it's going to go around my my growth, just because I don't know how far this will go, and I don't want to get attacked.
Okay. You're good.
But I bought a fence, and so we'll keep it at that, and so we'll see if that's. Because it also came out as more of a mister. And so I was but at that point I was already frustrated. And so I was I'm going to go and get this fence, which costs $600, and see if that works. And at least I can have everything in a grow tunnel, and at least hopefully, be able to make my extra money, because that's my extra money off of those, the good stuff.
But I think Keegan probably had the best solution was having a farm dog. A farm dog. Hey, dude, I tell you what, man. When I used to go out to Hope Farms with Froberg, he had a little farm dog. and it was a little Australian Shepherd, and it was always there. It was there with him. I've seen other people who keep their dogs specifically at the farm. They put like a gate up and everything.
Yeah.
But like every time I went up there, that dog was eating a rabbit. Like,
Really?
Almost, dude. She was catching them like that.
Really?
Oh yeah, man. Or some cats. Some cats will scare them off too. But
Oh
then,
yeah.
But then you got to worry about cats using. That's another cats
Litter
using
box.
your. Yeah, dude. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I had some stray cats when I first started gardening here in my house, and like it sucks because you got to dig some of that soil up with it because their poo is just bad for the soil. It's not good.
It's not good for anything.
No, man. No, I do. I had some people. So I'm not gonna say the name of the company, but they make like the in-ground composters. It's not Vigo. It's not Vigo. But they came out with a composter specifically for dog waste. And I was like, dude, that's gross, man. I don't know if it was like, I think they said it was just for like pollinators and like your flower bed, but I would not be putting anything that eats meat, their waste.
No. Yeah.
And Vikram, you might know the science behind this, like why you shouldn't put like animal, like omnivorous animal waste in your compost.
So kind of two parts to that. They're usually high in nitrates, and so they can lead to some burn. They can lead to salt accumulation in your compost, but they also, because of what they eat, can lead to a lot of diseases. There's a lot of E. coli. There's a lot of other things that are sort of just part of the guts of carnivores. Now, if you can hot compost effectively, if you can get your temperature up, I mean, you can compost pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But for the, so big like professional operations that can do like windrow composting and all kinds of stuff to really sanitize it, like they theoretically could use whatever. But like for the average home composter, home gardener, it takes longer to break down. You're going to end up with a lot of nitrates and a lot of salts and a lot of disease potential. And also, it's from what I've read, it's more likely to attract like vermin to come dig around in it and cause some other problems. So it's best to just in general stay away from it.
Yeah, well, but people use chicken poop and they're omnivores, and I guess that's okay but they have to let it hot compost.
And I think like chickens, like birds process things differently. Like their digestive system is different. I think, when we talk about carnivores, I think we're usually talking about like mammals, like cats, dogs, those kinds of things. And so,
makes sense.
Because poultry waste is a really common compost and just a fertilizer. Part of my PhD research, we were looking at different like products you could put on lawn grass, like turf grass, to extend or improve the water holding and like drought tolerance and things like that. And one of the best products was something that used dehydrated poultry waste and some other stuff. And like it was during the summer, we watered it and then turned off the water, and it stayed like green something like 12 days longer than the next closest treatment. Wow. So like there is a lot of good stuff in like poultry waste that is great for your plants. But yeah, I mean, I think composting any kind of manure is a good practice just in general to get rid of some of the salts, break it down a little bit more, and it protects your plants from a little bit of burn.
Yeah, I think people don't understand it. Like compost is not just you put something in a bucket, you spin it, and it's compost. Like there's a lot.
There's a science behind it. Yeah,
it's so scientific, man.
Yeah.
Like people ask me if I compost all the time. I was like, hey, I put stuff in those in-ground Vigo beds, and I was like, and I stir it about once a week. I was like, but do I know how to make compost? I'm not in there with like the 3-foot long thermometer. It's like a science and an art form to making compost.
I'm not a big fan of compost. I mean, I love compost buying it, but I'm not a big fan of making it just because it's a lot of work too. Like every time I try, something happens or I forget. Like I'll put it in the bucket and then I left the bucket outside and then it started raining and then I'm like, oh crap. Oh, that's me.
It's not me. It's not
me. Hey, it's on silent, but my computer's, I have a Mac, so it's connected to my. That's why
I had to sign out. That's what I did.
I'm gonna make it a drinking game on the next episode. Every time someone's phone goes off, you gotta do a shot.
It's on solid. I was like, okay, but it's connected to my MacBook. But yeah.
Oh my god. No,
I like
I
composting. I have a tower, a 55-gallon. I have three.
yes.
And I just, as I add wet, like the nitrogen, I keep shredded leaves from the fall, and I'll add that. Then I add water. That tends to get it, like, it's not steaming, but it'll get hot.
Yeah.
And it'll take I can get compost in maybe 4 months.
Mm.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Are you pulling it from the bottom of the compost bin, or are you turning the whole thing?
He's rotating it.
It's a tower, so it doesn't move, but I just
Yeah.
use like old school. I have a fork that I like stick down and turn.
Okay.
And it works, and then let it sit. This time of year, it's getting hot. I don't know, Vikram, you might notice signs between this type of year. This is the time I get it to smoke, and I don't know why. But in the summer, not so much. I don't know if it's a temperature anomaly, but this time I'm making good compost, which is odd. I don't know. I just try stuff.
It's cooking.
So yeah, and I think your air is probably cooler, so you're seeing it more. But I also think there's a chance, and I could be wrong about this, that like as the air temperature gets cooler, a lot of your microbes sort of retreat farther into that pile, and so you get more heat generation when they're all kind of clumped together in the middle. Like trying to, because that's a lot of things. Soil microbes will move deeper in soil profiles when it gets real cold, trying not to freeze. And so I would think they're probably kind of running from that cold air a little bit. And as a byproduct, they create a lot more heat because they're all huddled together.
Plus, I also has a question like, are you adding more organic matter this time of year as everything's going to sleep, as certain crops you're pulling away? So you have extra additions of organic matter this time of year.
Yeah, I keep it going. So anytime I add like the wet stuff, so like kitchen waste or scraps from my garden, I'll add shredded leaves and make sure I wet it. And that's kind of all I do. I don't.
Yeah.
It works, but no science. I just try stuff.
Yeah, I think I always say this, but I think chickens are the best solution when it comes to like byproducts, like because you can feed so much to them and let them do the rotating for you. Like just let them do the work for you when it comes to that, and then just let them handle that. I'm let the chickens do it.
Do you all have chickens? Or
no, I wish. I don't think any of us have chickens. None of us.
None of us do. We just admire people that have chickens.
Just fans of chickens.
For chicken.
As I'm saying this, I don't currently have any birds. I've been watching too much Justin Rhodes, is what it is. You watch a lot of that.
Destin's just like a chicken evangelist. He's
I
out there
am,
promoting
dude.
the good news of chickens.
Dude, oh man, dude, I love chickens. When I used to go, like Vigo has a farm here in Houston where they like have their offices, and I get to go up there and like play with the chickens, feed them, and like I do some garden maintenance up there and like throwing like all the this has got a big hole in it while it's going to the chickens, and a group of like 10 of them, they can do some damage, man. They can really clean some stuff up quick, and then the byproduct is that sweet butt nectar, those eggs.
Yeah, I grew up with chickens in Trinidad. They were like just wild chickens that like roam, but we get eggs, we'd use them for meat, everything. The chickens are great. I just haven't had them in years.
How do chickens get like wild in those places? Like I know in Hawaii, it's the same way, right? They have like chickens running wild in Hawaii too.
I don't know. I mean, when I was born, we had chickens.
The species.
I mean, they had their little coop, and then we had I don't know what, I think like what's it called, chocho or chayote squash. So we had this crazy vine that like, and they would sleep on it at night. We'd feed them in the day, they disappear. We feed them in the morning, they disappear, and at night they just come back home. It was the craziest thing.
Cool.
And they would nest all over the yard. But we just go get some eggs, pick the rooster out, which one we wanted to eat on Sunday, and that's kind of it.
Wow.
My uncle's really gotten into raising guineas lately.
We had guinea birds too. Yeah, those things are. I don't know, man. The ones we had growing up was crazy. They were like really territorial.
Yes, so that's what I've heard, that they're really good. Like some people will get like guard geese for like their birds. You know, geese will be like kind of protective.
Yeah.
But they were my uncle said he got them as almost like fodder. He'd have to buy like a new like dozen every year because it's hard to get them to coop. They're like peacocks. They want to nest in a tree at night, and so they're just like open game for like owls
Yeah.
and stuff. But they will go after snakes. They'll eat a lot of ticks. And someone was telling me that they're like mostly dark meat. Like they taste pretty good from what I heard. And so like I don't know. I've never had guinea before, but I'd try it.
I can't say I had them, but I remember running from them a lot. They're pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm interested. I like birds.
What
I
about
like
ducks?
birds.
And I guess nobody has ducks if you don't have chickens. Somebody has
No.
ducks.
I
Oh,
actually
no.
I talked with someone who raised the what are they, like runner ducks, the ones that don't fly.
Yeah.
And they get huge eggs. And the reason she raised them was she was actually allergic to chicken eggs, but she could have duck eggs. And so the only downside of the ducks is that they poop a lot
No, yeah.
everywhere. So you just have to be ready to manage that if that's the case.
Okay,
From everybody I talked to, they said ducks are like one of the ducks and geese, like waterfowl, are like some of the worst things to keep because they're just nasty. They're super gross.
Really?
My buddy had bought. Well, this is it's actually a wild story because my buddy's an idiot. It was.
I hope he's
it-
listening.
Yeah, no.
Let's
I-
drop some
Everyone
names.
interested, his name is
I can promise you, Danny's not listening. But
He's an idiot.
it was his wife's like it was like their 15th wedding anniversary, and so I don't know where he found it, but like the 15th anniversary or something like that was like the feather anniversary. So he bought her 15 ducks.
Wow.
And he made the coop. I don't know if that's the one or not, but he bought her 15 ducks, and he made him a coop right up against like a like a tree line, and he did like a coop, and he dug a pond, and it was like 5 different kinds of ducks. He had like mallards and all kinds of weird stuff, but he didn't put a top on it.
Oh man.
And so geese the ducks were they're filter feeders. They're like dig in the mud, and the pond went from like 6 foot wide to like 12 foot wide, and the whole thing was like the pond, and it's gross and nasty, and you got to clean that out. But the worst thing was, since he didn't put a top on it, he had like these merry band of raccoons coming in, and they would take one duck every night. Every night they would take one
50
duck.
nights.
Yeah, it was the 15 nights of duck, man. Like every night, it's like, oh, there's one more missing. Like,
Oh man.
and raccoons are brutal, dude. Anything with thumbs, dude. Don't trust stuff with thumbs, dude. Because, and then I don't know that ducks have much self defense. Like they're just a duck is not the most intelligent thing in the world. So I mean that just getting snatched every single night, every single night. So I'm not a duck guy. I want some.
I wouldn't have guessed.
But chickens, let me tell you.
Let's get some chickens. Let's get some chickens, dude. No roosters. No roosters. I'm not a fan of roosters, man. So Chaz, sorry, the duck thing just got me still. So you have those hoop houses now. You don't have a greenhouse up at the farm at all. You're just I mean, you probably still have everything. You still have okra growing too. Do you still have it growing?
Yeah, we're still growing okra. Actually, a little bit is still producing right now.
Wow.
I mean, it's like high demand,
How
but
cold is it? Sorry, how cold is it there that you still have
right
okra?
now it's probably like 65 or something like that, maybe.
Jeez.
It
Then
got
next
down to
week,
like
so
the 40s
production has
last
been like
week.
low this whole week, but we have the space, so I'm kind of like letting it grow because when I take it to the market, I always sell out, and so it's like kind of like guaranteed money. But like it's been slow all week, but it hasn't stopped. And then next week is gonna be like a little bit of 70s, so I'm like maybe it'll bounce back because I just hate to let the money go. I mean, it's like the money is pretty good, like just selling okra. I mean, also being one of the few farms that like have just a little bit, and we sell about a tray. We do wholesale the rest to restaurants the okra, but we kind of slowed that down just a little bit because it's just not producing enough.
Yeah.
And they kind of wanted, like, I was like, we just don't have enough for you guys right now.
I
What's
can
do
see.
you fertilize?
I'm sorry.
When it starts to get cold, do you double down on fertilizing, or do you just
No,
let
when it
run
gets
its
cold, I
course?
just cut it down. I cut it down.
Yeah.
And so but right now it hasn't been that cold. So, I mean, it's like was December tomorrow, so it's pretty much like, we're still letting it grow. But once it freezes and stuff like that, I'll chop it down.
What type of okra do you grow?
So we're growing a Clemson spine, I think Clemson
Yeah,
spineless okra,
yeah.
and then also I think it's like a red variety. I forgot the name of that. Burgundy red.
Burgundy red. Yeah, that's one of my
And
favorites.
I mean,
one.
honestly, so this is like my third year growing the burgundy red. The first year it grew really slow. Different spots. I kind of moved around again. The second year really slow, kind of as well. So I was like, maybe it's just a variety of okra. And then this year it did better than like my other one, than my Clemson. But it's also in different spots, so it's kind of like the math is not the same math, or it's a lot in science to it.
It definitely has to do with I found that if it's really wet, your okra gets dwarfed. It almost seems like if it's like a really wet summer, it almost dwarfs the height, and you don't get as much production. And I basically water mine in until they're growing, and then I almost don't water them. I had to a little, like maybe once a week this summer, but like they love the heat, dude. They freaking love it, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, when it was so hot, man, I was out there picking daily. I mean, my hands are like not hurting, but like you can feel it on my hands of okra, and I pick it like. I mean, it was good though because I'm picking money. That's why I look at it.
I forget how much people love okra. Like I grow.
I mean, it's a love hate. Yeah.
Yeah, you either love it or hate it. Yeah. I grow. I think I have about I had like 24 plants this year, but I did spineless burgundy, and I did for the first time Creole okra, which is the fatter one, and I love that one the most. I think it's just aesthetically pleasing, but it tastes so good. But I love okra. I eat it with scrambled eggs for breakfast.
Yeah, me too.
Really?
But yeah, people love okra.
A lot of the chefs now are like incorporating with the meals, like different like just chef driven dishes and stuff as well too. So they're charring it, they're grilling it. It's not. I know you guys may not all be from Texas, but like I kind of grew up eating like a southern way, like stewed okra and tomatoes. But now the chefs have taken it and like curated it where you can always grill it, but they're now charring it, they're grilling it, they're doing different things outside of the norm of okra, and you can't do that when you're getting it frozen. And so that's why it's been such a demand for us, because they want it fresh, because what they want to do with it, it won't come out the same way. And so that's why I'm letting mine grow into December. Because if I get another big boom, I'm going to make a little bit of money off of it,
Especially with your seasoning. You throw some of your seasoning on the eggs. Chaz makes his own seasoning. They actually sell to HEB here in Houston.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we have a spice company too. So that's one of my full-time jobs as well too. So we have a spice company. Everything's low sodium, non-preservative, non-MSG. So we're in Whole Foods, hopefully HEB again, but Whole Food stores, nutrition stores, and then we sell at the farmers market as well too.
What is it? What is it called? What's it called again?
It's called Sulfate Grill Seasoning. So Sulfate Grill. So Instagram Sulfate Grill.
Sulfate Grill.
Yeah. And anybody can purchase online. We ship all over the world, all over the country. And 8 different flavors from garlic and herb, Tex-Mex, Caribbean, honey, garlic, ranch, lemon and herbs as well too. So the idea came from my great grandmother with diabetes, and gardening is really how that started. I was gardening, but trying to figure a way to give her something, but also something fresh. And the idea was like, okay, I can dry the goods and stuff that I'm gardening with and create a spice line with it. And that started 2014, and then branched out to something way bigger after that.
Oh wow,
dude, that's awesome! Congrats.
It's been almost 10 years doing
I know. I'm like, man, that's crazy. It's that many years.
That is so wild.
I was in law school for a little bit, and then I was like, the money from the spices started taking off, so it became like a semi-law school dropout. but that just happened randomly. It wasn't like I was in college. I was the barbecue guy, and I did season, but I realized like, hey, it wasn't that many spices and spice blends outside of, I won't say the names, but the low sodium ones. It wasn't that many, maybe like 2 or 3. And so I was like, what has Southern flavor, but not a lot of salt and preservatives? And I was like, let me create my own. But it didn't just like happen like that. It was the gardening. Okay, oh, I'm eating this, but I'm drying out lemon balm, lemon whatever, and I'm like, okay, this is like a spice, or this is something I can grind as a herb. And then around 2014, that's when I decided to like kind of manufacture it and take it like large scale. And then we already had an Instagram following for our grilling and stuff like that. And so those followers basically converted and from my grill, just me grilling randomly, into like my spice buyers. And then fitness industry took off, social media, everybody's working out, fit expos. And then that became my big audience, also with the diabetes and high cholesterol, heart problems. And I mean, people cry, just because like they're, they're so used to having so much salt, and now they can have flavor without so much salt. So yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool. That's
I'm gonna have to
awesome.
order some of this. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
No pressure.
No, I think it sounds like I'm looking at your website. It looks awesome.
I'll put the link in the description on the video and everything.
Definitely,
like that, for sure. Going back to the okra and stuff, this was the first year that I did a little bit of an experiment with my okra. I'm not the biggest okra eater. My favorite way to eat okra is like raw. I get them like pinky size and like a snack on them just like that. I'm not the biggest cooked vegetable person. I like everything more raw. But my experiment this year is I had 2 4-foot beds, 4 foot by 4 foot. And I was like, I'm going to transplant this one and I'm going to direct seed this one and see what if having the head start and transplanting has a better effect. And what I pretty much found out was that whether I, start my seeds indoors early and get them transplanted and then I direct seed didn't play that much of a factor. I think the transplant shock actually has a worse effect.
It takes a little bit longer. Yeah.
So I think I'll be direct seeding mine from the same as squash and cucumbers. I'm not transplanting squash or cucumbers. Any of the cucumbers.
Start to eat them.
Yeah.
And so it's like either I'm gonna plant before the weeds grow, which is like early spring, and trying to get ahead of it, or like maybe direct seeding. It's like trying to fight, which one I kind of get ahead of, because like I'm planting like open land, not in the bed, so it's like a lot of work. So this year the weeds and the okra kind of grew at the same rate. So I had some local kids come out and like basically pull the grass and weeds out by hand, and so I can like kind of control it with like a weed eater and go down.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I was doing mine in raised beds. And another thing that I tried this year, because I was talking to someone, they were talking about trees. And they were saying, you ever notice a tree that's growing by itself out in the middle of the field always grows like this? But you put a tree in a forest next to a bunch of other trees, they always grow straight up.
Yeah.
Because they're competing for the sunlight. So I was like, let's take that concept to okra. And so instead of planting them in a row straight, I planted about as many as I could fit into that square. And they were less than a foot apart on each side. And they did amazing. I had some of them on the sides that kind of shot out a little bit, obviously. But the rest of them were just kind of competing for the sun and did really well going straight up. And it was really, really nice. So maybe even try them in your raised beds if you wanted to do something like that.
I have actually done them in raised beds, and they've done really well. Honestly, okra in Texas does well like anywhere. It just the raised beds was like almost like 4 feet, like 3 feet tall, and so once they got to a certain height, I was having to like climb even higher to try to pull it down. But they did really well because the soil drained, I think, a little bit better in the raised bed. And so honestly, if I could do them all probably in the raised bed, I probably would, just because they seem to produce. And those that I did in the raised bed 2 years before actually did better than in ground. They took off a lot faster. So
yeah, I've done them in containers. The one last year, I know this guy is, I forget his name. He runs Comfort Farms in South Carolina, and he brought this variety of okra over his mother did when she came from when she immigrated from Africa. It's called the they prune everything off. It's like this thickness, but it's going up like a 2-story building.
Mm.
And so, like, you probably could. If I hadn't have had that frost, I probably could have had a pretty tall. I had
We're
it
probably
stick.
like on 15 to 16 feet right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, look it up. It's not as tall as you would think because they usually snap in half. But you were saying picking from the tops. I top them when they get like past like 3 feet and they start to branch out. And I keep getting okra. I had a video where I took a pruning stick, you know, like those fiskers, like you pull the string and get. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So I did the experiment. I topped them this year, and they just all started growing from the sides and the bottom. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing that crazy stuff.
One thing, one experiment I did. You guys are talking about experiments. I grew beans with my okra.
Beans?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So every year, what I do is like I do the same thing. So I started with potatoes, and then 100 days later, put okra right in, and then I put beans in when the okras are maybe 2 feet tall, and then the beans just grow up the okra. So I'm getting 2 crops right there.
That's awesome.
That's
And it
great.
works pretty well.
Is the irrigation the same for beans and okra? Because the okra, I really don't have to water it too much, or it just.
I don't. I can't say. Again, no science over here. I just tried things.
Yeah.
They did fine.
Hey,
Yeah.
it works and works. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
beans
dig
are
it.
beans
I
are
think that's
very
great.
cheap. It's worth an experiment. It's worth a try. I'll do that. It's definitely worth it, man. Well, awesome, guys. Well, we're over an hour. I
man.
appreciate y'all coming on. Before we go, I'm gonna go around and let Chaz say again where everybody can find him. And we'll go do it around. We'll go around to everybody and let everybody know.
So you guys can find me at Sweetwater Farms HCX on Instagram and Facebook. Also at Soulfit Grill on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well too.
I'll put links to everything down the bottom for sure. Go ahead, Vikram.
I'm the plant prof pretty much everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, whatever Twitter is today, and YouTube.
It's the X, man. It's the X.
Oh yeah, X. That's right. And then I'm also my podcast, Planthropology, is all over the places as well.
All right, I love it, Mr. Keegan.
I'm just on Instagram. You can find me at Keegans_garden. And yeah, I don't do anything else.
Hey man, it's all that matters, dude. It's all that matters. Go ahead, Philly.
You guys seen me before, Phil's Figs. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, and you can find me online at philsfigs.com.
Like soon to be Phil's Figs Daddy.
Big
Oh my God.
Big Daddy Phil.
Big Daddies.
I'm already a dad. That's
Yes, yeah. Big Daddy Phil.
Big Daddy
Big
General.
Daddy Phil. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, and I'm Texas Garden Guy, Destin Nuck. You can find me Texas Garden Guy everywhere because I don't have a life. So appreciate y'all coming on, guys. Like I said, I'll put the links for everybody in the description, and I will see y'all next week.